Desolation wilderness, permit required. I don't know what that word permit means, and I don't know what required means. I'm just going on a hike. I don't know what makes this wilderness desolated. That's what it said, desolation wilderness. I don't know. We're in Lake Tahoe. It doesn't seem desolated to me. There's a lot of people here. It's a lot of life, a lot of vibrant wilderness all throughout the state of California. I don't know why they particularly chose this wilderness to be called Desolation Wilderness, but it is. So maybe we'll find out. Hiking to Eagle Falls and then Maggie's Peak and then Cascade Lake. I think it's about 7 miles. We're about to find out. I woke up to it being like 45 degrees this morning. It was freezing. The only thing that slept after that was my arms because I rolled over to lay on top of them, trying to keep my body warm. But when it's that cold, it's kind of hard to fall back asleep. I realize some people are like 45, that's not that cold. I talked to a dude who said he used to be in the army and would be camped out at literally like 0 degrees. That's insane, but anyways, cold is cold. Apparently, actually, going back to my physics or maybe chemistry class in high school, I remember the teacher, shout out Miss Wirtz, was like, there's no such thing as cold. It's merely the absence of heat. And those types of things are always funny to hear. It's like, it feels pretty cold, but okay, trust the science. This is Eagle Lake. And it empties out and forms that little river, little creek river thing. It's always nice hiking when you got bodies of water and you got mountains. You got water, you got mountains, and you got views. That's the trifecta. What in the world is going on with this tree? You know, it's kind of hitting that Michael Jackson hee hee. All right, so I stopped to get some breakfast. Got a little egg sandwich from McDonald's. And first thing I had earlier was a strawberry banana smoothie. McDonald's, y'all are not making smoothies. Do they taste all right? Yeah, they taste all right. But those things are not smoothies. That's corn syrup blended with ice. That's all that is. Y'all ripping people off by calling it a smoothie. But anyways, I was walking up here, right? And I passed these two girls that were backpacking. And backpacking is when you're hiking and camping, right? You're continuously hiking and you camp out on the mountain and just keep going, right? And I'm just going on a regular hike. And I passed by them and one of the girls goes, enjoy your walk. And she said it like anything a girl says to a guy, it's gonna cut a little deeper. She was all like, enjoy your walk. And I'm thinking like, yo, I do this. This is my 7th hike in 7 days of at least 7 miles, you know? I just made that up, but it feels like it. It's starting to add up. So I'm like, hey, don't patronize me. I'm not walking. I'm hiking. I'm climbing. I'm sweating. I'm grinding. I'm crying. I'm not even lying, you know, is what I wanted to say. But I had to think back to 2 Timothy I was reading yesterday. And it talks about, let me quote it. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 16 says, but avoid irreverent babble, for it will lead people into more and more ungodliness, and their talk will spread like gangrene. Gangrene is an infection, right? It's a very infectious disease. Irreverent babble is just like disrespectful talking, just chatter, right? And so did she invite some irreverent babble? Potentially, yeah, she did. But I declined that invitation and just said, thank you, you too, and kept walking. So Lake Tahoe is huge. There's lots of other bodies of water around it. We are up on Maggie's Peak up here. It's beautiful. I'll be chilling up here for a minute. And you know, something just hit me. How did these big rocks get up here? It makes sense why they're down there. A number of reasons to cause rocks to fall. But how are they so big and fractured at the top? Because I'm always mind blown by nature and how things are the way they are. Because, I mean, I believe in the Creator and His creation. But clearly a lot has happened on this earth since it was created. These rocks are not naturally just here. Nature put them here, but they were not created there. So how do they get at the top like this? Makes sense why they get down to the bottom, but how are they so fractured at the top like so? I don't know. If those rocks were situated like so on the ground, no gravity and water could have carried it there, or just falling from a fracture. And then I thought, water, the earth used to be flooded. Maybe they settled here from the flood. That has to be the only explanation, but I don't know. Maybe please comment if you actually are interested in this topic. And like, how the heck does this happen? Leave your jokes to yourself. All right. This is the story of Moses, specifically God reaching out to him and informing him that he is going to be chosen to do something. So without going into too much history of Moses in the Old Testament, Moses is the chosen one to bring the Israelites out of slavery from Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Beginning at the end of chapter 2 of Exodus, verse 23, God hears Israel's groaning. So during those many days, the king of Egypt died, and the people of Israel groaned because of their slavery and cried out for help. Their cry for rescue from slavery came up to God, and God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. God saw the people of Israel, and God knew. So that covenant we'll go into more later, but God promised to bring and populate, to bring Israelites to a high status and to free them from slavery. Beginning in chapter 3, the burning bush. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro. A lot of cool names in the Bible. Jethro, there you go. The priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now, behold, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. Come, I will send you to Pharaoh that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? He said, But I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. So God calls Moses. He hears the oppression and the cries of the people in Egypt that are being enslaved, and he chooses Moses to bring them out of this, to escape, to exit. Then Moses said to God, If I come to the people of Israel and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. So I think it's cool how God refers to himself as I am, because Moses asked, what's your name? Who do I say sent me? Like, I know you're God, and God just says, I am. Right? It's like a pronoun and a verb combined. It's who he is, and it's an action. It's pretty fascinating terminology. Appropriate as well. He just is. Who is God? He is. Right? Don't get bogged down by all these silly gods and all that. No. Forget the lower G gods. This is capital G God. He is. I am. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, has appeared to me, saying, I have observed you and what has been done to you in Egypt, and I promise that I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. And they will listen to your voice. And you and the elders of Israel shall go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. And now, please let us go a 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless compelled by a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all the wonders that I will do in it. After that, he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And when you go, you shall not go empty, but each woman shall ask of her neighbor and any woman who lives in her house for silver and gold jewelry and for clothing. You shall put them on your sons and on your daughters, so you shall plunder the Egyptians. So God promises to bring them out of that, and he knows Pharaoh's not just going to let them go. And so he's going to compel Pharaoh by sending his mighty hand in the form of things like plagues. And that comes later in Exodus. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed the view and the message. Just a quick little addition. I think back to an interview I did in LA with a guy named Moses. And it's funny because I talked to him about religion and Christianity and stuff. And he said, my name is Moses. And so I took it upon myself to figure out who Moses was in the Bible and stuff. That's who he was named after. And I really appreciated that he took it upon himself, since that's his name. Let's figure out what that name really means. And I can't help but wonder how many biblical names are there that people are named, but they never even, know. Surely they know if they're named after a person in the Bible, the parents have relayed that message. But I just can't help but wonder how many people are named after something in the Bible. Let's just go with the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. How many people are named that don't even look into this book and look into who those characters in this story is? Just some perspective there. I appreciate you, Moses. If you're watching this, bro, keep doing you, bro. Keep growing. So, yep. He goes by Geronimo, though. All right, today I would like to sample some scripture from multiple different books, beginning at the end of 1 John chapter 5, verses 19. We know that we are from God, and the whole world lies in the power of the evil one. I'm going to repeat that. We know that we are from God, and the whole world lies in the power of the evil one. The power of the evil one. That's what the world lies in. Let's go into some more stuff. So, the earth lies in the power of the evil one. The evil one it's talking about is Satan. And so when we go to Luke chapter 4, the temptation of Jesus, it says, and Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by the devil, and he ate nothing during those days. And when they were ended, he was hungry. The devil said to him, if you are the Son of God, command this stone to become bread. And Jesus answered him, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone. And the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time, and said to him, to you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me, and I will give it to whom I will. If you, then, will worship me, it will all be yours. He just asked Jesus to worship him, but he offered him something. What did he offer? He said, to you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me.
and I give it to whom I will. So two things there. It was delivered to him. Spoiler alert. It was delivered to him by God. And that's a whole other conversation that we can go into. But also he gives it to whom he will. That means Satan will give power to who he will. Whoever worships him, Satan will give power. So in this real earthly world with material possessions, Satan gives power to people. He'll give them riches if they worship him. So, and Jesus answers him, it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. And he took him to Jerusalem and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. And Jesus answered him, it is said, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test. And when the devil had ended every temptation, he departed from him until an opportune time. So Jesus defies the temptations. And I love how he says, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test. I think back to the man that I interviewed in Laguna Beach when he says, I tested God. I told him, if you're real, move this dot on the wall. And it just doesn't work like that. God may reveal himself to you in a mysterious way, a mystical way, in a weird way. But God does not just work like that, where you're just like, do this, God. Especially if you don't actually believe in him. This is Satan tempting God, the devil. The devil is real. A lot more people believe in the devil than they do believe in God, than they do believe in Jesus. And I think that is a wildly paradoxical belief. If there's Satan, then what does that make the other side? Right? Where does God come in if there's Satan? If there's Satan, then there has to be God. This has to be real. Right? And what does the Bible say about hell? Well, from the parable of the net, a story that Jesus is describing, he gives an example. That's what parables are. They're like real life practical examples. From Matthew chapter 13, verse 47, Jesus says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and gathered fish of every kind. When it was full, men drew it ashore and sat down and sorted the good into containers, but threw away the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The angels will come and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, Satan is real. Hell is real. Jesus is real. Heaven is real. You get a choice to make, one side or the other. Every day is a battle between good and evil. Just some encouragement. I heard something about the more spiritual you become, the more aware of the sin you have, the more aware of your sins, right? And so I feel that heavily at times whenever I'm doing real good and I reflect on those bad and I'm like, how could I be like that, But that's a healthy feeling to feel, to be aware of your sin is healthy, right? Don't let it drag you and make you feel defeated, because Jesus already defeated death, right? Jesus defeated death so that we could be free, so that his blood could spill out for our own sins. So no matter what sins we've committed, 1,000,000 or 1, it's equally the same in God's eyes, right? You're either following Satan or you're following God. I've said this story before, but a friend of mine told me a story that says there's two sides of the fence. There's the good side and the bad side. There's the Jesus side and the devil side, right? And a lot of people, they might be sitting on the fence, not sure of this world, not sure of what they believe, right? And then their time comes and Satan takes them. And that person is like, wait. I didn't get to choose a side yet. And Satan says, you fool, I own the fence. Right? Satan owns the fence. This is not something that you should sit on the fence about. You should pray about it. You should think hard about it. Do your research. Talk to God about it. There's an undeniable God. The smartest people in the world, look at what Albert Einstein says about God, right? The smartest people in the world say there's a God. Now, what that looks like, different people will argue about, right? So if you feel compelled, do your research about it. If you feel compelled, talk to God about it. But regardless, understand, if you are on the fence, Satan owns the fence. You must choose. You're going to sit on the fence, or you're going to walk with Jesus. Thank you for watching.
This life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shores. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. I'll fly away.
Dude, that's really good. These are some of the coolest mountains ever. Like they're just golden. Well, I wanted to chill here for a second, but these mosquitoes are actually the worst things I've ever, it's the worst I've ever seen mosquitoes in my life. I'm not kidding. Oh. Dude, these mosquitoes are insane. Holy moly. I'm about to get run over because of these mosquitoes. All right, so I'm on my way to this mountain in Nevada. I'm gonna do one hike each day in a different area, a different park, continuously. So like 8 hikes in a row these next 8 days. So we're about to find out. It's beautiful out here in Nevada, not far past the California border, as you can see. And ain't nobody out on this highway except me. And that's pretty cool because you ain't gotta worry about it. As a defensive driver, you ain't gotta worry about it. It's beautiful out here.